We got a new item. Sneak peek. Come on, pin comments. Is this not beautiful? It's a gorgeous cow ear with the hair on. Wait a minute, like this. If you're tuning in, this is a new item that we're going to be dropping in the secret shop. We have a very limited quantity, but this came from our friends out in Bluffton, Georgia. And we're going to be dropping this. This is probably going to be a heavy to super chew. So keep a lookout for that. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you guys for tuning in. I thought I would do the new box unboxing. We did post it into our timeline and our stories on Monday when the new box came out, but I always like to go live and tell you what's in it. It is not an ear, it is a nose, for those of you that are just joining in. Doesn't this look so cool? It smells like a nose, in case you're wondering. I've got Icon, my trusty sidekick, taking a nap on the floor wondering what that smell is. But I'll go through this month's combo. As you guys know, every 4 weeks we like to do a new combination of treats and chews to help you add variety into your dog's bowl. A lot of our customers are raw feeders, but a lot of them are also kibble feeders wanting to learn more and add a variety into their dog's diet, and they do that through our boxes. So without further ado, I think this is box 89, and I'll run through and tell you what's in it. Let me know if you have any questions as we're going. So we'll start off with our meatballs. We've got turkey meatballs this month. We recently changed our recipe to add fur. We're using rabbit pelts or rabbit ears as a source of fiber into our meatballs. So you will see itty bitty little pieces of hair. Let me open this up so you can see. I have to say, meatballs are definitely a crowd fave. See that hair right in there? So the fur is a good source of fiber, but also manganese. Manganese is really important for joint support. That's one thing that actually happens to be deficient in a lot of raw diets, especially people who are just doing like Frank and Prey or Prey Model Raw, where they're not actually feeding whole prey. Fur, feet, and feathers are the highest source of manganese, so that's definitely something that you want to include, and why we ended up putting it in our meatballs. So the meatballs have fur, they have a lean muscle protein. We're using turkey this month, so it has a little bit of turkey breast, turkey gizzard, as well as grass-fed beef liver, some lamb spleen, and chicken feet or duck feet, depending on the recipe. So you've got 6 different items right in this meatball. We like to feed these as meal replacements. If you are going to use it as a meal replacement, I recommend rehydrating it in hot water. That way your dog is getting some moisture, which oftentimes if you're feeding dry food, we do recommend adding bone broth, hot water, or even like a kefir or goat's milk. That's a great way to rehydrate them, especially right now because it's so freaking hot outside. I think it's actually, we were just talking about this on the team, quite possibly the hottest day of the year here in San Diego. And yes, I know, it's just in like the 80s, but that's hot for us. David asked, rabbit pelts for the secret shop. Icon, you want to try this meatball? Oh, he cannot be bothered. He's in the sleep slumber. There you go, Ben. We had pelts in the secret shop. We are due for another order. We like to put in orders of whole prey rabbits. That's something that actually Icon is going to get for dinner tonight. We also get our rabbit heads, front feet, and back feet all together. So that is something that we're going to probably put in the next couple of months. So you can expect to see pelts in the secret shop, but not anytime soon. Feel free to ask any questions you want. You can use a question function. Just starting to do the unboxing. This is something that I like to do every month so you guys know what's in the box. So you can ask, what do I do if my dog doesn't like something? How do I add meatballs on? All of those things are fair game. So feel free to drop them in the comments or use the question function. All right, so meatballs. Turkey meatballs this month. Just went over what's in it, and you can add on turkey meatballs for just $10, or you can get a meatball only subscription which I think is pretty rad because $10 is a deal for that bag of meatballs. Our other add-on is our bull pizzle. Isn't that a pretty pizzle? If you guys didn't know this, pizzle is a penis, and they normally come anywhere from 3 to 6 feet in length, and we do cut them down to about 10 inches, and we spiral them. I do believe we were the first people to ever spiral our pizzles, but you can see that's the tip right there, and this is a really, really heavy chew. This is different from the steer pizzles that you've seen on our menu. That's a light chew. The steers are male cattle that have been castrated at an early age, which coincidentally means that their peenies are a little bit smaller than the bulls that are left intact to mate and reproduce. So bull pizzle is our super chew. It is a $10 add-on. You can get super chew only subscriptions as well, or you can add them to your box. If you guys are local to San Diego, you've probably seen these sell out very quickly at our farmers markets. This is one of our best selling items. It's very hard to source, especially US pizzle. I think back in the day, because people didn't know what to do with them, there's a huge market for pizzle outside of the US because it's actually known as an aphrodisiac in many international cultures, and something that's also used in traditional Chinese medicine for things related to erectile dysfunction and stuff like that. So a lot of the pizzle in the US gets exported out to Asia, into Africa, and other countries outside of here. Who knew there was going to be a huge market for these? A lot of times you'll find that in countries like India, where they don't eat beef, they end up trying to find buyers and exporting to the US. So you'll see countries that have a lot of beef cattle that send their pizzles from like Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, India, Turkey. That'll all come imported into the US, whereas US pizzles end up getting exported out. It's a crazy market. I tell you, I know so much more about the meat market than an average human being should, probably. But whatever, the more you know. Anyway, that is the pizzle. Looks like I got a question from Vicky. Quick question, meatballs come with the monthly box or it's an add-on? It is an add-on, or you can get meatballs only. Great question, because I know a lot of people are always wondering that. All right, let's keep it going. Our muscle meat of the month is green tripe. Oh my gosh, I shared in our stories because this is the time of year where all of my memories are popping up, like when we started 7 years ago and we didn't like have processes in place for what we were doing. We were processing the green tripe without gloves. I mean, it was just like, this is what we have to do. But the green tripe, it's ground. I'll open this up so you can take a look. They are ground into tubes, what we call chubs. They're 2 or 5 pound chubs. This does come from a California supplier. They are grass-fed, grass-finished, and once they come in the chubs, we run it through the slicer and make these cute little patties. I have seen other companies do them lately. The only difference is that ours come locally. They actually come double ground before they get packed into the chubs, and then we slice them in our slicer. Definitely one of Icon's favorites. If you get your box and you're new to us, all of our items have QR codes and info cards where you can scan this and learn more about the product and why we feed. I'm a huge proponent of feeding with purpose or supplementing with purpose. Just because you see it in other people's bowls doesn't mean your dog necessarily needs it. So it's important that you know why we're feeding it and all the benefits of it. So if you scan this QR code, you can learn more about that, or you can text us. But the reason we like feeding green tripe in particular is it's because it comes from the stomach lining of the cow, and it's called green not because of the actual color, but because it's uncleaned, sort of like something that's ripe, right? Like a green banana or a green person who doesn't have a lot of experience. So this is unaltered, unadulterated tripe stomach lining that's ground up. That means that a lot of the digestive enzymes and vegetation from what the cow was consuming is still left in here. It is this color, which is very different from like your honeycomb tripe, which you might see in dishes like menudo. where it's like a white color, that has been treated. Usually what they do is dump it in hot boiling water, so it removes all of the potential bacteria and the enzymes that would be in the gut. But we want that for our dogs. And sometimes we call green tripe doggy crack because it is just that irresistible for that reason. Over the years, I've realized that the green tripe doesn't smell as bad as it used to. And I don't know if I just got used to it or if, you know, it's just part of the game. It's one of the compromises we make when we're feeding our dogs. So that's our muscle meat of the month. Next up, we have our pork liver. This is going to be our organ meat of the month. A lot of times you'll see in your raw feeding recipes that they will mention to use beef liver over pork liver. The reason is beef liver is much higher in iron, while pork liver is higher in copper. And so some of the values of the food that you're feeding will differ greatly, and that's why it's really important to include variety. So the two livers that we typically rotate through are beef and pork. Sometimes when we can source lamb liver, we do as well. But liver is one of the highest value items because it is one of the most nutrient rich, and I like it because it breaks up so easily into small pieces. So if you have a small dog, you want to start off small. Whatever you think is the right amount, feed less. That's something that someone on our team says often. But the pork liver is a good one, and you can see it sort of looks like these little lines from our grates make it easy to break apart. So you can use these for training treats, or you can sprinkle it right on top of your dog's food. That's the organ meat of our month. So if you're just joining in, we've got our green tripe, we've got our pork liver, we talked about our meatballs, and then our salmon. Oh my gosh. At the height of COVID, because all of the restaurants had closed down, a lot of the, unfortunately, seafood suppliers lost their buyers because the restaurants were closed. So we ended up finding an amazing seafood processor that has wild caught salmon. And this might be one of the most beautiful catches of salmon that I've ever seen. I love it because we got them in strips. And so most of your bags will have these beautiful long pieces with the skin intact. And it is important that the skin is intact because that's what holds the oil all together. My mouth is literally watering. Like, I know I love seafood and everything, but this is just a beautiful piece. And if you are feeding fish oil, which can oxidize quickly, I really urge you to try feeding fresh oily fish if you can. Something that you will hear often in the raw feeding world is that salmon should be cooked or deep frozen, especially if it's coming from the Pacific Northwest, because there is a bacteria that can be fatal to dogs. Our salmon comes from Alaska. It is wild caught, and just like that other piece, like the oil is just like seeping, oozing out of this. We're gonna do weekend tributing one of these days, and one of the questions I'd like to ask is, guess what the only treat Icon has ever stolen off of a dry and grate? Salmon. It is one of his favorites for many, many reasons, but I do believe that omega-3s tend to be very deficient in most dry food diets because, again, fish oil oxidizes quickly. So even if it's sprayed on to dog food, it doesn't necessarily last long enough when it's in a bag and fed to a dog. So if you can feed fresh oily fish, please do that. Salmon is the one this month. Last month we had anchovies, which, you know, I'll be honest, it doesn't look great in the bag, but boy is it good for your dog. Next up, we have our light chew rabbit feet with the furs on. This is another fan favorite. It took us a very, very long time to find this rabbit supplier, but they have been absolutely wonderful and helping us try out other items that you've seen in the secret shop lately, like the liver, the kidney. We do get our front feet from the same supplier. But this is what the foot looks like. Not too different from the rabbit feet that you've seen on your keychains with the fur on and everything. This is One of the best items, in my opinion, in our boxes, because it not only has fur, but it also has bone. And obviously a little bit of meat from the inside of the muscle. This is something that you can use to add into your dog's bowl. If you have a bigger dog that's probably over 40 or 50 pounds, this is great to add in regularly. You can do this every day. If you have a smaller dog, you can use the front feet that we have in our secret shop as well. Again, you've got fur for manganese and fiber. You've got bone for calcium and phosphorus also in the muscle meat here. So this whole thing is completely digestible. If you find that when you feed a bone-in item for the first time and your dog's stools are white, that means that was too much bone at once. And you can certainly work up that tolerance. So if you feed a little bit at a time, you'll notice that their stools become less chalky. It's not necessarily bad, but the wonderful thing is we made a post yesterday about anal gland expression. If you're taking your dog to the vet regularly to express their anal glands, you may have a natural remedy for that, which is feeding more fur, feeding more bone, or psyllium husk. Psyllium husk is the active ingredient in Metamucil. If you have a older person in your life or someone who has gut issues in your family, you'll often see them drinking Metamucil. That's exactly what psyllium husk, or what Metamucil is made from psyllium husk. That's the active ingredient, and what it does is it basically expands in your digestive tract and it helps push everything through, especially if you're constipated or your dog is constipated. That is something that you can add in. Everything in moderation. If you add too much, you can end up making them more constipated. But another option to try is a fur-on chew or adding a little more bone content into their bowl so that when they are doing number 2, they're actually forced to push out that stool. It's going to be harder, it's going to be a little bit more compact, and that naturally expresses the anal glands. We tend to see a lot of dogs have anal gland issues when their stools are too soft, like if they've got perpetual diarrhea or soft stools. That is going to be a problem because those anal glands never express. I know, everything that you wanted to hear Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock. So that's our light chew. And then we've got our duck wing. Duck wing is going to be our medium chew of the month. This is another bone-in chew, a fantastic alternative to chicken wings or chicken feet, which is what most of you will find in your local grocery store if you're feeding fresh food. Duck is a cooling protein, so especially if your dog, like during this time where it's so hot outside, I tend to feed more duck and rabbit because my dog runs hot. You know, if your dog runs hot or cold, if let's say for example in the afternoon you've got an area like where your window is open and there's a little patch of sun. If your dog gravitates in that patch of sun for a little bit of warmth, they probably run cold. If they gravitate to the coolest place in the house, like Icon does, he'll go in the hallway, like right in front of our AC, or he'll even hide in our bedroom sometimes when I'm, you know, loud and drunkardly on the weekend, or it's too hot outside. So he runs hot. In the summertime, I tend to feed him more duck and rabbit products because they are cooling proteins. They're not going to exacerbate any of the internal heat that he's already feeding. I tend to steer clear of things like turkey, which I know he has an intolerance to or a sensitivity to already, and that's a warmer protein. So each of our wings come with 3 pieces to a bag. That's a huge upgrade that we made. We used to only have 2 to a bag, but just in the last couple of years we upgraded to 3 pieces. Remember, this is a bone-in product, so if your dog is new to chews, new to bone-in chews, make sure you're supervising while feeding. If your dog doesn't know how to chew, you can certainly hold one end of it. See if I can demonstrate that for you. The wing makes it easy because it's a jagged shape, but you can hold one end just like this and let them bite off one side. You can use the whatever your cue is, if it's going to be chew it, and then praising them when they actually end up chewing. If they try to grab it and take it away from you, you don't want to let them do that because they will get used to that. So you can do that if it's a first time feeding. Even if it's a medium to large size dog, I would probably feed about this much of it, which is a third, and then feed the rest. And again, if your dog's stools are chalky, no need to worry. That just means it was too much bone in that moment and they can work their way up. And also, if you have any questions, text us. I do see some questions here in the comments, which I'm going to get to in just a second. But again, it's a bone-in chew. One thing to just show you guys real quick, because we're air drying, we are not exceeding 130 degrees Fahrenheit in temperature. And that is why this skin right here, we can keep that intact. Once you increase the temperature over 150 or probably 165, that's when the cellular structure of the protein starts changing. And that's why cooked bones or roasted bones, like the meat just falls off the bone. The skin will just like harden up and then fall off, which tastes great for us, right? Like the fried chicken skin. I don't know, maybe I'm the only foodie here. But for our dogs, that is a problem, because when the skin is no longer on the bone, that doesn't keep the meat intact. And this meat around the bone is important. This is what protects your dog's internal organs, digestive system, when they're consuming the bone. And it's 100% normal for your dog to chomp, chomp, swallow. They don't chew things 30 times the way that we're supposed to. Their jaws move up and down, not left and right. So they can't like grind things down. It's literally chomp, 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 swallow. So if that happens, it is normal. If you're worried about it, shoot us a text and we can walk you through what to expect. Before I get to the last product, let me just get to some of these questions. Pup love for me, what are some of the best items for smaller breeds like my Coco? Any one of our treats is perfectly fine for smaller breeds. The light and medium chews, I would say, work well. You know, we've got Chihuahuas and Yorkies that absolutely love our super chew. Every dog is different, and it's not very easy to make a blanket recommendation, but what I can say is start off with the lighter chews and move higher and higher based on your dog. You know, Icon is a big breed. He can demolish these, but he's a little bit older now. He's a little bit slower. He doesn't really care for chewing the way that he used to. So I tend to feed him more light chews, to be honest. Like, he really enjoys just sort of going through that and not savoring the way that he used to. So I hope I answered your question in a way, kind of, sort of. The meatballs can come as an add-on or as a regular subscription. Hi, Rita. Thank you. I'm going to be seeing Rita in a couple of weeks at the spa, Healthy Dog. I'm sorry, I think it's a Pet Wellness Expo. It's going to be up in Newport Beach. There are still tickets remaining. It's an amazing lineup. Rita's going to be there. Dr. Judy Morgan, Dr. Suter, a few other brands as well. We're looking forward to that event. That's the first weekend in October. Definitely, if you guys are in Southern California, I recommend that you check that event out. 5-Star Mommy sent us a message. Okay, I will take a look. So glad your items are available at Buddy Sweets. Oh, yes! Our retail program is off the hook right now. We have Savannah, who manages our farmers markets. She's always at OB every Wednesday, and she's been working with new retailers every single week, and I swear she is like busier than ever. If there's a store that you guys want to see us in, let me know. Shoot us a DM, comment it, shoot us a text, whatever. We are just doing our best to put our most popular products into retail stores so more people have access to them. So I would love to hear from you. That way you can buy from us or you can support your local pet store. Manitas Dos says, is the shelf life of your products 1 month from when the bag is open? Yeah. So 2 things that decrease the lifespan of any food generally. This is like biology, scientific process. Air and humidity. So once you open a product, that's what oxidation is. And as soon as something is oxidized, you tend to see it change color and smell differently. Food oxidizes, fats oxidize, and that's when you want to use something sooner rather than later. We don't use any preservatives. So it does not prolong the lifespan of our food. It's going to go through the natural process. Fortunately, air drying, sun drying, those are all the most ancient methods of preserving food without actual chemical preservatives. So you want to keep it away from any additional air and moisture. So if you're a person that doesn't particularly want to touch these products and you try to feed your dog like this, and your dog grabs this and gets their drool all over this bag, and you close it, that product is going to go bad quickly because you've now introduced moisture into this bag and closed it. So the result is condensation, and basically you're bringing it back to life. You're rehydrating it. So if it weren't dried and it was a raw product, obviously it would not stay dried for a long period of time. It would go bad. So you want to make sure you're keeping it in a cool, dry place that is as airtight as possible. But on one of my lives a couple months ago, I actually opened a bag from our very first box 7 years ago, and it was still good. So I hadn't introduced any air or any moisture in there, and that's part of the reason we can prolong the lifespan of any food. But yes, that is hopefully an answer to your question. Can these treats be given to cats? Hell yeah! Man, Taylor on our team has been hounding me about creating a real cat box. She's one of a few people on our team that doesn't have a dog, but she has a cat who is also raw fed. Her name's Chemo, and she loves our treats. She eats almost all of them. Rabbit feet are one of her favorites. And cats are obligate carnivores. So what that means is they can only thrive off of meat protein. Dogs, on the other hand, can adjust and survive off of other things like pea protein or vegetables. I would never recommend a vegan diet, but can a dog survive on it? Probably. Cats, on the other hand, can't. And one of the most important things that you need to include in your cat's diet is taurine. The same goes for our dogs, and you can only get that from meat protein. Can you deliver to South Africa? Are you paying for shipping? Because that's far. That's so far. My brother used to live in Botswana, and that plane ride alone was like 3 days. I felt like it took us to get there. I don't think the product would go old, so you can certainly buy it from us and have a friend ship it to you. I don't know what customs looks like for that, but it would definitely stay intact and be perfectly fine to feed once it reaches you. Oh, good. All this information is so helpful. I'm so glad you guys are tuning in to ask your questions. Best type of bone to feed to small dogs. Generally speaking, dogs do really well on poultry bones because they are hollow and they don't tend to carry a lot of weight like ruminant animals. So ruminants are herbivores that feed on grasses and such, and they tend to be bigger like sheep or cows or bison, and bigger as in like thousands of pounds. So if you can imagine, they're carrying a ton of weight on their legs and their feet. So those bones tend to be much bigger and more dense, whereas poultry bones for the birds, like duck wings, these are things that I can probably break apart in my hand. Like, if I can break it just like that, that means your dog can break it. So if you can feed quail bones, rabbit bones, not a bird, but a smaller animal, chicken, turkey, duck, I probably wouldn't go bigger than a turkey just to start off. Then that would be a great source of calcium for your dog. And just remember, variety is key. So if you are able to find a bird bone that works well for your dog, don't just stay with that bone. Try to find something else that you can switch it up to so you're getting that variety into your dog's diet. And just because your dog is small doesn't necessarily mean that they can't have bigger bones. A lot of small dogs I have seen do well on pork bones, or if you're able to get a grind of food, you can grind that bone up and they'll be able to benefit from eating different proteins as well, and you're not just stuck on poultry bones alone. Do you work with stores out of state? We do. Yeah, so we're not limited just to California. In fact, I can't say the name quite yet because the deal isn't finalized, but we are in talks with someone in New York, in Long Island specifically, that is looking to carry our product in their stores. Really exciting for me. What a great box for summer. Yes, you're into it. Neutral and cooling proteins. Can't wait for it to arrive. Is there a meatball that you have that contains only cooling and neutral proteins? Our pork meatballs. Our pork meatballs will have, we're using pork loin, pork heart, rabbit, and duck for the bone and fur. And, you know, the organs will, I love to use grass-fed beef liver. I think it gives the most nutrients that our dogs need. I prefer it to grain-fed. And if you'd asked me that 5 or 6 years ago, I didn't know better, and we were doing conventionally raised and fed beef liver, but we do grass-fed only. We don't carry anything but grass-fed in our building. My local dog food store is called the Whole Dog Market. Okay, I will take note. Send that over to Savannah. I keep mine in the freezer, and once I open a bag, I keep it in the refrigerator and reseal it. Yes, that's perfect. It doesn't have to be in the refrigerator, but it certainly will extend the shelf life. And also, you know, if there's a chance that wherever you live is very humid and that could get inside the bag, that will pose a bit of a problem. So if it's convenient for you to keep it in your refrigerator, you can certainly do that, but you don't have to. I love all of these questions. Bark and Scratch Outpost. Got it. So we have Bark and Scratch Outpost in Milwaukee, and then the Whole Dog Market, I think I saw was the name of it. Let's see. Hi, Robin. How can you buy from the secret shop if you don't have a gold membership? How do we find out when it takes place? Wouldn't you like to know, because you want this cow nose, don't you? This is the biggest nose I've ever seen. Okay, so if you have our wellness membership, you get a text message notifying you of the day and time of the drop, as well as what's going to be in there, and you get 1 hour early access. That means only our members can shop, no one else can. After that 1 hour, then any of our active subscribers who don't have the wellness membership can totally shop the secret shop. So you can go in there anytime. I try to do my drops twice a week. A few sneak peeks at what's going to be in the secret shop. One is that cow nose right there, and then the other is, I just had it, lamb heart. Lamb heart is a new product that we are working on. So that's kind of what we're going to drop this weekend. But I try to do our drops 2 times a week, and otherwise it's open all the time. So if you wanted to go in there into the secret shop right now, you could buy whatever you want. The only time where you won't be able to purchase is on Monday. I do close it because I like to recount our inventory. We have made the mistake before of keeping it open and overselling, and so that shouldn't happen again. So Mondays, generally the secret shop is closed. And then right about an hour before our drop, you'll notice that we remove things and re-add them in. So that hour before, in the first hour of the drop, your regular subscribers won't be able to purchase. Only people that have our wellness membership can access the secret shop for that first hour. It's just part of the benefits. I do try to post to Instagram stories, so if you turn your notifications on, you'll know that we just posted to the secret shop. Sometimes I miss it, you know, but if you really, really want to know when the time is, get the membership. We are offering annual memberships now that you can lock in the lower price. And so if you're interested in getting those notifications, just let us know. We're getting a Petco soon. Is that a possibility? Petco is not on our list. We are into supporting smaller local businesses who are really in tune with feeding real food and not someone that's just sort of jumping on the bandwagon of natural products because that's what's trending. I hope I don't get canceled for that. If I found a duck bone, would I put it in a dehydrator? Well, you want to make sure there's meat around it, and you can certainly dehydrate your own products at home. We put out a video last week about that. Happy to give you some tips. It just depends on what kind of meat cut it is. So if you're seeing this, you can respond, and I'll try to get back to that. ATL, yes. So we can help you and offer our products to you in Georgia. Yes, puppies can eat all of this food. Most puppies are weaned off of their mama's milk between 8 and 10 weeks. I generally don't recommend separating a puppy from their mom before that. But once they are on solid foods, they can certainly be introduced to variety. In fact, I think when they're a puppy is the best time, because when else are they going to get accustomed to lamb heart and green tripe and salmon? And obviously when they're puppies, they're teething. You know that meme that's going around where they look like little dinosaurs until they're like 8 months old or whatever it is? That's real life. That's how it is. So I definitely recommend using our light and medium chews for puppies. Heavy chews are okay too, but I would hold off on the super chews until their adult teeth come in. Awesome question. Danny says, my dog loves your products. I switched to raw and I see a huge difference. Awesome. I love that. I love that. 5-star mommy says, can you go over the new subscription? So nothing has really changed with our subscription. We still do our 6 items in our treat and chew box, but what is different is our wellness membership. So that allows you, we now have an annual membership that allows you to lock in a lower price. So you have access to the secret shop. You get a text message notification. You can get monthly nutrition consultations with one of our certified nutritionists, and you get free shipping. I know that has been a stickler for a lot of small businesses. It's just so hard to keep up with UPS and USPS pricing, and that's why we wanted to offer that annual membership so that you guys could get the free shipping as well. Do you recommend doing any DIY at home with air drying? How hard is it? You know, it's not terribly hard. In fact, a lot of dehydrators will go down to like 95 degrees Fahrenheit. That's really low. I would probably do like 125 to 135. The thing is that when you're drying food at home, this smell will enter your home unless you have a garage or like a deck, like a back porch or something where you can put the food out. And if your dehydrator is outside on the back porch, best believe you are going to be inviting the neighborhood animals in as well. But that doesn't mean that you can't do it. If you're not sensitive to smells, I absolutely recommend drying your food at home. You will save so much money. It does take time. Most things that are air dried are going to take longer than dehydrated food. So it increases the dry time, the lower the temperature, and it also increases the odor. The higher the temperature, you will decrease the dry time, and you'll probably have less of an odor in your home because of that, but you will lose a little bit more of the nutrients because, as with any vitamin, you're going to reduce any nutritional value from the heat alone. So it's not terribly hard. Girl, I can teach you how to dry your treats at home. It's not hard at all. It just takes up some counter space and it stinks a little bit. Chicken liver. Okay, here's what you want to do if you're going to dry organ meat at home. This will be important as well for like muscle meats, but organ meats in particular, they have a really like a very weird texture where they just kind of like fall apart. Like they're not dense like muscle meats are. You know, like if you have a slab of chicken breast, you just like slop it down on the table. Liver will like fall through your grate. So pro tip, drying organ meats at home, you want it to be par frozen or half frozen. What I like to do is when I get it from the grocery store, separate it into however much you're going to be cutting at a time, put it in the freezer for about 3 or 4 hours so that it's hard on the outside, but not necessarily all the way frozen in the middle. Chicken livers are pretty small, so you could just dry them as is, but once you move up to something like a pork liver or a beef liver, if it's half frozen, take it out of the freezer. It's gonna be a little soft in the middle, and then you'll be able to cut it so much more easily than if it's at room temperature. Because once it's at room temperature, it's just like a sloppy, floppy mess. So that's hopefully a tip that you can use. Tag us in your stories. Janelle, I would love to see how the chicken liver turns out. And you can make your way up to other proteins like pork liver or beef liver. And if you can, get grass-fed. Is there going to be green tripe in the secret shop this weekend? Yes, we packed some pucks for the secret shop, and these are the regular ones right here. So the pucks are like going to be closer to half an inch to 1 inch thick. Keep a lookout for that. How can we switch to the annual membership? How much is it? So you're locking your price at $17 for 12 cycles. It'll be $204, and that'll lock you in for a year. And all you got to do is text us, shoot us a text, 858-348-5954. We can't, by the way, guys, we do get a lot of DMs asking us to make changes to your boxes. We can't access it from Instagram, and frankly, it's just not a secure portal for us to do that. So we will ask you to text message into our customer service so that we can make that change for you and have a record of it, because if we try to answer all of your questions, account related questions on social media DM, we just wouldn't be able to do that. You don't dry all of your dog foods. Is that just for longevity? Yes. Yes, you give your dog beef liver raw. Amazing. We feed raw too. We choose to dry our foods for the convenience. You know, we got into this game because we wanted to help people feed real food. And in fact, our original product was raw food. I'll share a picture of it in stories. Like, we thought we were just going to be making raw food, quit our jobs, drive out 3,000 miles from DC to San Diego, start making product, and realize it's going to be like at least $100 for one delivery, even for the smallest dog. And people weren't into feeding raw at the time. They were so afraid of it. So what we ended up doing was taking our recipe for our raw food and drying it. That's why we have muscle meat. That's why we have organ. That's why we have seafood. That's why we have fur and bone. All of these things are the reason that we created box combinations. And we have always been huge proponents of feeding fresh if you can. And if you can't, you can feed something that's dried, you know, gently air dried. Dehydrated is cool, freeze dried is cool too. That made having the conversation with someone about feeding more real food so much easier, because when you get a wing like this, it's a little bit more intimidating than a meatball like this. Like, this looks familiar. So yes, I always encourage people to feed fresh food if you can, but if you're just getting into it and you want to add variety into your bowl, our dried treats are certainly an option. Okay, yes, I will repost our how to dry your food at home. How many humans are on the Real Dog team? We've got about 30 team members worldwide, almost 40. All right, yes, I will repost the how to feed your dog, to make dogs treats at home. I didn't even get to the last product, y'all. I got so excited. So our last one is beef backstrap. This is the heavy chew of the month. You'll notice these pieces are much larger. Each piece should be at least 6 inches in length. That is what we promise, and you'll find that many of these are even bigger than that. Some of them 8 to 9 inches. So beef backstrap is the heavy chew. Also a small piece of trivia. If there was a chew that Icon wouldn't eat in our boxes, backstrap would be the one. He's never turned down a pig ear. He's never turned down a duck neck or a duck wing, but the backstrap, for some reason, it's just not his thing. All right, that's it. So you got your beef backstrap as your heavy chew, duck wing as our medium chew, rabbit feet for our light chew. Salmon, wild caught Alaskan salmon for our seafood. Pork liver is our organ meat. We've got our green tripe. I took the card out to show you guys all of our boxes, all of our items have a QR code that you can scan to learn more about the benefits of feeding that particular food. We also have other tips and tricks in there, like what if my dog doesn't like it? What can I do? Are there any other DIY recipes I can use my tripe in? So make sure you click on that or scan that QR code so you can go to that page. And then we've got our turkey meatballs. And then we've got our bull pizzle as our super chew. I say every month we have a combination of 6 different items, but it's actually 8, including our meatballs and the super chew. Last but not least, before I let y'all go for the evening, sneak peek at what you're gonna see in this weekend's Secret Shop drop. We've got these cow noses with the fur on. I'm very excited for that. Lamb heart is another new product that we have in testing. I really enjoy adding variety into our muscle and organ meats because I think that those are the most helpful for training and the easiest to add into your dog's bowl. So this is a grass-fed, grass-finished lamb heart. We're supporting smaller ranchers that are a part of the GAP program, which basically means that their food is certified to be sold at Whole Foods. If you are a Whole Foods shopper, that you know they have the highest standards. So I did meet a lamb supplier who offered this heart to me, and it's beautiful. It just breaks right apart. So this is going to be in the Secret Shop. The hair on cow ears, cow nose, and then I don't have a bag here, but bison lung. That's another one that we're testing as well as a new muscle meat product. All right, last question. Can we order extra bull pizzles? You can. If you have the wellness membership, you guys can place an order anytime you want for any products that you are looking for. And if we have it in stock, we can certainly fill your order and ship it to you. Bull pizzle is probably one of our most popular products. It's boneless and very tough, and the dogs just love it. So we don't always have a lot of them on hand. In fact, they sell out. It's the first thing to sell out at our farmers markets. But if we have it, yeah, we can ship it to you. All right, I think I answered all of your questions. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to my unboxing, and keep the products that we're dropping in the Secret Shop to yourself. That was a sneak peek. It is a secret. Don't tell anyone. Thank you guys again. Have a good rest of your week, and I will catch you later. Bye.